Guys, welcome to the video on Bharat in Germany. My name is Bharat, and in this video, we have a very special guest with us whose name is Sayali, and she has been making videos about Poland. And it is actually very interesting to see how Indians are living in different kind of European countries. And for Poland, we found Sayali to be very detailed and very educational videos that she is making. So, Sayali, thank you so much for joining in. Can you please tell us a bit more about yourself?
Firstly, thanks for having me to your channel, Bharat, and I'm really glad that you chose me from Poland to collaborate for your channel. But basically, guys, my name is Sayali, and I am currently living in Warsaw, Poland, and I. In India, I lived in Mumbai, and it's been around 2.5 years for me in Poland now, and it's quite amazing, and it's really nice to know different cultures. And now that Indian culture and Polish culture is like really very different, and we've moved here, and it's really great to know all the things here, to learn new different things every day. And through my channel, I am trying my best to put down there for all the newcomers, for all the students, for all the parents who are sending their kids, or whoever wants to move to Poland. I'm just trying my best to put all the information there. So I hope you guys will benefit from that.
That's very cool. And I saw that like you also got featured in some like Polish newspaper or
Yes,
magazine.
yes, it's actually a weekly magazine. It's called Tygodnik Powszechny. It's a bit tongue twister. Like obviously the Polish language is very difficult, but Tygodnik Powszechny is a weekly magazine which is published in Poland. It's one of the oldest one. I think it was established, or it was started from around 1945. Yeah, and I am really honored to have featured in that magazine. So yeah, so I was featured in the 21st of March, that week's magazine.
That's nice. I mean, like that's how you should like kind of bring good name to your country when you're abroad, and that's pretty nice. So, Siali, like, can you tell us a bit more about the education system? Because I know that many students also like opt for Poland, and like I think learning more about is like how are the universities like, what is the tuition fee, and then we like move towards the living costs and things like that.
Generally when people move abroad, it's either families or it's students. So beginning with the family concerns is like their kids, it's for their preschools or elementary schools, or any sort of schools. It's basically the tuition fees. So the public schools are pretty much free of cost, wherein you just need the education, the tuition fees is free of cost, but you need to pay the lunch fees or the food snacks, the food that is provided. You need to pay for that, and moreover, if there are any extracurricular activities happening there, so you need to pay extra for that, and that is approximately around 3 to 400 zloty, or I would say 500 zloty, not more than that. And the cost is quite minimal. And moreover, talking about the private universities, rather private schools, for little kids, it's there are multiple options. So you have options for Polish schools only, then you have options for Polish and English schools, then you have options for trilingual schools, where the name of the school is trilingual, but then they have 6 different languages. So that's Japanese, there's Chinese, there's French, Spanish, Polish, and English. These 6 language options. So you just enroll for that, and the fees for that is around it's a bit expensive over there. It's around 3,000 to 3,500. It depends upon which location are you going for. Okay, this was about the schools for kids, and now talking about the universities. So the public universities would charge around 2,250. It's around 2,250, but this is USD that I'm talking about. Okay, it's not in zloty.
Okay.
So public universities is 2,250 zlotys approximately, and private universities is around 6,000 USD. So that's a huge difference. But yeah, that is how this is the fee structure that I just mentioned. But now talking about the most important thing that comes to your parents' mind, where if they're sending their kids, especially immigrants' kids, to schools or universities here, is are the teachers really very helpful? And in case if a couple who, or if a single mother, or if a single dad for that matter, if does not know Polish language, so is it the teachers are helpful or not,
Mhm.
and is it comfortable for your child, and how is it? But most of the times when such instances happen, 90% it's compatible. The teachers are really very helpful. It's not always the same with everyone. Yeah, people could face instances of not knowing Polish language, so
Mhm.
there's a little barrier of the language, obviously.
Mhm.
So if we are moving to another country, if we are sending a child to another with different cultured people, we have an insecurity of if there's racism or how is it.
Yeah.
So most of the time it is not as such, because schools here are very very strict. They are very, it's not that teachers are very lenient. I mean, they are very caring, they are very humble, but instances of racism were also found very less in public and private universities and schools,
Mhm.
either of the education system. It's very less. So I mean, maybe out of 1,000 there could be one or two cases,
Mhm.
but as per my knowledge, or as per the information or the people that I've met until now, there are no such instances
Mhm.
in the education, as in the schools or universities.
I mean,
Yeah.
Polish people, you see, most of the immigrant, the second largest immigrant population that we have in Germany is Polish people, because the
Mm-hmm.
economy itself, it's not that strong. I mean, if you take a look at the GDP numbers and stuff, it's number
Mm-hmm.
nine. Germany's at number one.
Yes. Yes,
So, I mean, like,
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
think Poland is an interesting option, but like, if you want to take a look further with the opportunities and things like that, like, you have to also like keep that in mind a bit
True.
when you compare it with like, the German, let's say, living costs and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think like, other, let's say, university costs, that is also not so dramatic. So
Yeah.
if you take a look at the German education system, you're having no tuition fee, but you have
Mm-hmm.
some kind of semester contribution.
Yeah.
Semester contribution goes anywhere from 150 to like 300 euros. So let's say
Mm-hmm.
in a year you're paying anywhere around 600 euros maximum for your entire, university stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The private universities, they're of course more expensive. You will be having the semester fee of anywhere from
Absolutely.
like 4,000 to 5,000 euros per semester. So I mean, like, it's interesting to have like, Poland in the picture too, but I think like Germany is like still like, pretty much the better option. Like, that's what I believe. Living costs, like, I was taking on this, like, taking a look at this website. It's called Numbeo, and like,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty interesting to do like, cost of living
Yeah.
comparisons. So we
Yeah.
saw there, like, the costs are like at least like, 20 to 30% cheaper in Warsaw compared to Berlin. And
Yeah.
Berlin is already like one of the cheapest, let's say, cities that you find. But like Poland is like, even further a bit
Yeah.
down. We compared it with other countries. We compared it with Norway, Sweden, and I think Netherlands, France. And like we
Mm-hmm.
have seen every single time, like, Berlin was cheaper. And this is the first country where we have seen that actually, like, the capital of this city is actually, this
Yes.
country is cheaper than what we have seen in Berlin. For
Mm-hmm.
sure. I think
Yeah.
like for that, like, it's nice. But I think you told me that the university fee for public universities per year is around 2,250 US dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I mean, like,
That's a tuition fees. That's a tuition fees.
hmm? Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, exactly. So that's where I think the difference is not so massive, because in Germany you're paying 600 euros, and even
Mm-hmm.
if you're paying 2,250 US dollars, that should come around 1,900 euros. So I mean, it's almost similar. I don't think like, there we
Yeah.
can like complain too much. Okay, like, Poland is more
Exactly.
expensive or something. I think it's not so dramatic, because when you take a look at
Yeah.
the other hand, which is the
Mm-hmm.
living cost, like at that side you could be like, saving some money. So let's
Yeah.
talk about the living costs now, Sayali. What is the rent cost? What is the eating cost, like groceries and things
Mm-hmm.
like that? Do you have to pay for the social contributions, health insurance, anything that you can tell us?
First talking about the food, there are multiple grocery store options, like for Indians, or rather for Asians, and for other people also. There are multiple options. The cheapest option, or I could say the most affordable option, is Biedronka. It's the Polish brand for grocery stores. Then you obviously have Carrefour, Auchan, Aldi, and what else is there? I mean, Carrefour Express, and there are multiple other options also. But the most affordable one is Biedronka, which is the Polish brand, and relatively it's quite cheaper. I mean, if your monthly grocery bill is for two people, I'm just talking about two people now. If your monthly grocery bill is around 7 or 800 for two people, in Biedronka, it's going to cost you around just 600 or something. Or in Ocean is also another affordable option where it's approximately going to be around 600 or maximum 700 zloty. And further than that, it's you obviously have, it's a personal choice where you want to, if you want to go to Carrefour or other options also. Talking about the food in restaurants, okay, it depends upon what kind of restaurants do you prefer. Obviously there are affordable options, but on an average a person would spend around maybe 200 or 300 zloty. Even if you were to spend every weekend, I mean 300 zloty for every weekend is still more than enough for one person to go to a restaurant and have good lunch or dinner, or maybe a drink or two. It's really into that much, so it wouldn't exceed that. But obviously if again, if a person is willing to have outside food every day, then it's going to exceed that. That's totally your personal choice. Yeah.
I think as a
But
student, it always makes sense to like kind of buy the stuff, cook at home. That's always better.
yes, absolutely. If you want to live in a budget, then definitely buying grocery and cooking it by yourself, your food is the most preferable and the best option for students here. Our friends who are in Vistula University or the University of Warsaw also. So when I generally speak to them, they're like pretty much cool. They just work here on part-time basis. They get the basic paycheck, and within that basic paycheck also they manage to save money, so it's that much affordable. And coming to the house rent part, like I and my husband live here in a one bedroom and a living room and kitchen apartment. So it's around 48 meter square types, and it's going to cost you around between 2,500 to, depends upon what type of apartment you wish to live in, luxurious or just a normal furnished house, simple house, not very fancy houses, apartments. But then it's going to cost you around 2,500 and maybe 3,000, 3,500 or 4,000, or whichever bracket. But for students, there are options for sharing apartments. Obviously it's the same in Germany also. Yeah. And if you have to just rent a single bedroom and you have to share the apartment, it's going to cost you around 700 to 1,200, 1,300 zloty, and not beyond that, just for single room and the apartment sharing. So that's pretty affordable. And if you were doing a part-time job here, you would definitely earn more than 2,800 zloty, or approximately 3,000. All right. And your cost of living, especially your house rent allowance and your food allowance, is not going to exceed above 1,600. So you earn 3,000 and you are just spending a half of it, I would say. Okay. If you are a person who lives in budget, definitely you are going to save even more than that. But then if you wish to live, a playful and a joyful life, I mean, if you want to visit restaurants, you want to go out with your friends, you want to party, it's still going to cost you very cheap. And the, you will still be able to save money while you study also. So that's the best part. So this is a very personal experience. My friends from the Vistula University, like I said, they work in the same way. And when it comes to the working part, the Polish labor law has a fixed or the minimum wages of 2,800 till this year month. But then from next year, if I'm not wrong, then from the next year it's going to change, and it's going to be 3,200 per month.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, the amount is also increasing. Earlier it was just 2,650.
Mm-hmm.
This year January it was changed to 2,800,
Yeah.
and next year it's going to again change because obviously of the inflation rate that is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah. That's very nice because like so I'm like doing all the calculations on the side, like seeing like
yeah,
the zloty and like euro, like how much it is converting. So
yeah.
I mean, like I think this turns out to be like around 616 euros, the 2,800 zloty, which is the minimum income. In Germany, like also like they're increasing like every single year, and I think that that is the trend in most of the countries because like again,
Mhm.
inflation kicks in, you have to pay more people so that they can keep up their standards of living. In
Yeah.
Germany, we have the minimum income of like this 10 euros per hour. So like if you're working full time, you end up like having at least like 1,600 euros. But then you
Mhm.
have other models too, where like you're just getting let's say employed at the basis of 450 euros. On that, like you're working lesser hours because you have to
Mhm.
keep up the minimum 10 euros per hour limit. So
Correct,
these
correct,
kind
correct.
of like options are there. I think living costs like in Germany in the eastern side, which is like towards the border of Poland and like Czech
Mhm.
Republic, they are not so expensive. I think it's like pretty much similar living costs for apartments. You can like when you're living in shared apartment, you can end up paying anywhere from like 120, 140, 180 euros. I've seen people like paying 120 euros, so which was
Okay,
crazy
that's
because
yeah.
when you come down in the in Munich side or like when you go towards the west like Bonn and Cologne side, there you will
Mhm.
end up paying like around 250 to 350 euros like very easily. So
Okay.
and the entire living cost then like comes out to be somewhere around 550 euros to 600 euros. But then to the
Mhm.
German state you have to show a security of 861 euros per month so that they can give you the student visa. So this amount
Okay.
already has to be blocked and you receive this 861 euros into your current account every single month so that you can pay your bills. So
Oh, that's
people are
nice.
again like able to save money from that. And like generally student these part-time jobs and stuff, it is like the same, you get like decent
Mhm.
income out of it. That is like not so dramatic.
Yeah.
um Living costs, I think groceries and stuff, there you can end up paying anywhere from 100 to 150 euros as a student.
Mhm.
Apartment we already discussed, so like 250 to 350
Yeah.
euros. In Munich region it would be even more, so 400 euros like
Yes,
I can easily
absolutely.
say.
Mhm.
um so these kind of things are there in Germany. But I would say like Germany has an interesting, let's say, system where many of these cities will be like known as like student cities or like student hubs. So for example,
Yeah.
Aachen, it is a very small city and it
Mhm.
has Germany's largest university. RWTH Aachen has like almost like
Mhm.
40,000
Yeah.
students there. So as soon as the winter vacations come or like summer vacations come, like the city is like almost empty. There's like
And
not many people like residing there. So there are definitely like hubs like these, and like the living costs are affordable. You can also like earn decently. I also
mhm.
wanted to talk about Sayali, the wages, because I think like this is something that we should also take a look at, because I was like just going through some numbers and it said that so Germany's average wage is
Mhm.
in 2020 52,000 euros, 52,104 euros, and in
Okay.
Poland like it's 13,710 euros. Like do you see this like for like maybe is it for workers or something, or handymen or something like that? Do you have any idea about like how much engineers and stuff are getting paid in Poland?
So, so the basic wages that we just spoke about, it's basically for the people who work on fields like in
Mhm.
the construction side, or for the factory workers, or there are people who work in manufacturing factories, and the students who work on part-time basis, which is a major thing in Poland. So there are a lot of people like these chefs. Yeah, I'm just specifically saying this because all
Mhm.
these profiles or all these jobs, they come on wages side. It's not a salaried side that you just get a monthly fixed salary. It depends upon how many hours you work every day or every week, and you get paid for that much.
Mhm.
But it's basically for those who work on fields. That's the basic
Mhm.
salary that they would get. Now talking about engineers, especially in Warsaw. After Warsaw, there's Krakow city, which is on the south of Poland. Then there's Wrocław. But
Mhm.
it's, I think, if I'm not wrong, it's in between Krakow and Warsaw. Okay, but it's towards the south side of Poland. they are growing humongously for IT. I will say that because the kind of IT opportunities that I see here for obviously for engineers and moreover for banking also. The banking sector in Poland is also rising quite on a great pace, I could say. And for an IT engineer, if you have a great skill set, like I always mention in my videos also, if a person has a great skill set, it need not be extraordinary, but it should be something that, you have something unique in you,
Yeah.
and you are able to crack your interviews, you are able to, give up the answers quickly. Definitely you will get paid nothing below 15,000 per month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is 15,000 I'm saying gross.
Yeah.
Yep. And 15,000 gross salary for around 3 to 4 years of experienced
Mm-hmm.
candidate it's quite good, comparing the cost of living, your education cost if any, and uh, your transportation cost, or the extra cost that you need to live, and most important your savings.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yes, obviously, and obviously you need to have some safe money for your family also. That depends upon person to person.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that would be around 15,000 gross or 17 or 18,000 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, it is very important for a candidate to prove himself during the interviews. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that, you just get through an interview and you are like, I want 15,000. No, that's not going to happen
Yeah.
that way. If that's not the case, and if the company is still wanting to hire you, they would they would offer you around 7 or 8,000 also.
Mm-hmm.
And this is 7 to 8,000, or maybe 7 to 10,000 is something that is offered to a 2 years experienced guy or 3 years experienced guy. Even if your uh, even if your experience is low, I mean in numbers it's not very much, like 10 years or 15 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
But if you prove that, you will definitely get paid nothing below 20,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a huge amount, and that falls under uh, uh, the high salary bracket.
Mm-hmm.
But then in the medium level, on the
Mm-hmm.
medium level,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you are one of the high taxpayers,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the benefits you, if you want to buy an apartment, you will be eligible to buy an apartment after you pay high taxes. After 2 years you will be eligible for buying an apartment, only an apartment. You cannot buy land, a piece of land. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously when if you are applying for TRC, like for me, uh, otherwise I am a YouTuber, but otherwise also I am a housewife also. So when my husband we pay taxes here, we get a redemption of around or you could say returns on yearly basis. It's around 11,000 zloty.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a dependent with you who is not working, okay,
Yeah.
so you get that tax return also.
That makes sense, right? Because like when you're filing the tax declarations, you and your husband is combined together, and like all of the tax limits become twice. So for example, in Germany,
Right.
we have this system that like when you're filing the tax returns, or like when you're just like making money in a year, the first 10,000 euros is always free. So you don't have to pay the taxes on the first 10,000 euros. Then
Mhm.
afterwards, the tax jumps to 14 euros from 14%. So 14% from 14% goes to 42%. So like this is like how the progression works. But for example, as soon as you have another dependent and maybe they're not like earning, or maybe they're
Mhm.
earning less, the limits
Yeah.
all of a sudden become twice. So the first
Yeah.
20,000 euros then become tax free, and yeah, you get like some decent money back. That's very
Yeah.
nice.
In Poland, the tax rate is 17%, and
Mhm.
once you cross, it's 80,000 per year,
Mhm.
the amount. And if you once you cross that, it's going to hit up to 32%.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like Eastern European countries, they are known for this, like having lower taxes. So for example, I have my business in Romania, and like there I'm just like
Mhm.
paying 1% tax on my revenue. So like
Oh,
that's very nice. Then
that's
you take
nice.
out the money as dividends, you're paying 5% tax. But this is different for companies because like I have a private
Yeah.
limited and I can like, take the benefits of that. But for
Mhm.
example, if you're an employee and you're going to Romania, you're paying 45% in taxes. So 10% is the
Mhm.
income
Yeah.
tax, but like you have to pay another 15% into the pension fund, another 20% in health insurance. So like in the end you have 45% like money which just like gets deducted right away. So I think
Yeah.
like Eastern European countries for sure. I think like when I was like structuring the company better, I was like taking a look at Czech Republic and like
Mhm.
Romania,
Yeah.
Bulgaria, all of these. And I think like it's pretty nice there.
Just one thing I would like to mention, that if a student is below 26 years of age, and if even if he's working here on a part-time job or a full-time job, they don't have to pay any taxes. Their earnings will be tax-free. So the 3,000 salary that you earn, the paycheck that you earn, is going to be totally yours. There's no net, there's no gross,
Yeah.
everything is in hand, salary. So yeah, that's one good thing. So
Mhm.
is it the same with Germany?
Right.
If
So, I mean, like if a student is earning, let's say, some money, and we can take a look at the standard salaries of 10 euros per hour, and then the
Hmm?
person is allowed to work 20 hours per week, and they can
Yes.
work in a month. So, let's say 800 euros they're earning. So, in a
Hmm.
total year, they will be making around like 9,600 euros. Like, that is like if they're working every single month, like 80 hours.
Hmm.
And like
Yeah.
9,600 euros anyways falls under the tax limit of free tax limit, so they don't have to pay any kind of like
Okay.
taxes, income taxes there at all. You
Okay.
have this health insurance is something that is paid by everybody, and like the cost of health insurance in Germany is 110 euros per month. But with this, like you have complete freedom to like go to the hospitals, to go and consult with the
Hmm.
doctors and things like that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the same here. The health insurance is called ZUS, 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 and for students, it's free of cost. They
Mhm.
can go and visit the public hospitals,
Mhm.
but at times, due to language barrier, there is there are some issues.
Mhm.
But apart from that, there are no other
Yeah.
charges that you have to pay. Yeah.
I think this is
And
like a good point to like kind of like say in this video, and that is like if you're coming to like any European country, you have to
yeah,
keep in mind that the national languages here are very important. If you're going to the hospital even in
absolutely.
Germany and like you don't know what to
Absolutely.
explain to them about your ailments, you will have a
Yeah,
bad time here. So it doesn't matter if it's
absolutely.
Poland, Germany, Spain, Sweden. So the Scandinavian countries are a bit better, but I've seen that in Spain, France, Germany,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Italy, Switzerland, Poland, Romania, like you have all of
Most
these
of the
countries.
Schengen countries, I
Yeah.
would say, most
Yeah.
of the Schengen countries, you do have a language
Hmm.
barrier. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think like if you want to live a decent life, or like you don't want to like, face so many troubles, I think there should be a point that as soon as people decide that, okay, I want to go to this country, they start learning the language, because otherwise
Yeah.
it's not a good
Yeah. And
time.
relatively speaking, Spanish, French, German is still fine.
Mhm.
Polish language is way too difficult.
I believe you.
Absolutely, absolutely
Yeah.
difficult. I mean, in the initial days, you won't be able to memorize the difference between Zaprasham and Shaprasham. I mean, it's just same,
Sounds
but
same.
one is welcome, the other one is excuse me. So it
Hmm.
makes a total different
Yeah.
meaning altogether. But initially, it's really difficult. I mean, I also don't know to speak English, Polish,
Hmm.
but we managed to speak uh, the basic words. Hi, hello, thank you. Talking about the language, if one is thinking of having a PR, which is you are eligible for a PR after 5 years, you can
Hmm.
apply for it. But the biggest hurdle is that you need to pass B1 level of Polish language. I'm not sure how is it in Germany. Is there a
Yes.
language test?
Right. So I can also like share the details there. So in Germany, like we have like multiple kind of systems. Like some of them are like fast track systems to get the permanent residency. In general, like
Mm-hmm.
in the very standard way, you have to stay in Germany for 4 years, so
Okay.
48 months, and you have to pay the taxes and social contributions for those 48 months or 4 years. So once you pay
Mhm.
that, then you're eligible for permanent residency, and you do not have any kind of like, language requirements there, at least for the permanent residency part. But like
Mhm.
at the time of the citizenship, so like then generally they expect you to like, have at least like B1 level of German proficiency. But if you're a student, you just come to Germany to study. You study for 2 years, and then afterwards you work full time for 2 years, and then you can
Mhm.
get a permanent residency. So that's also pretty nice. But if you're a person who is like, let's say, working in some engineering field and you're earning a lot of money, and that's generally above 56,000 euros per year,
Yeah.
then you can apply for the blue card. So with the blue card,
Yeah.
you can get the permanent residency with B1 proficiency just in 21 months instead of like, the 4 years that you will generally have to wait for.
But then you need a German language, right, for that.
Right. So for blue card in 21 months, you need
Mm-hmm.
German proficiency. But if
Yeah.
you are just applying with just only English proficiency, you can
On
still
yeah.
apply for the permanent residency without German proficiency.
I mean, the time span here is a little more. I'll say that, but for TRC, you can expect your TRC. You don't have any sort of languages. You just go and apply. But
Mhm.
it's going to take anywhere between. So basically, during this COVID situation, it took for people to receive their card around 7 to 8 months also.
In Germany, they take like, 4 weeks to like get your this Aufenthaltserlaubnis. They call it the residence card. And in
Mm-hmm.
Romania, we got it in one day. It was insane. We went the previous day,
Oh.
and like because again we were EU citizens, so they just checked
Mm-hmm.
our
Yeah.
passports. And
Yeah.
Romania don't even give cards. They just give some kind of paper. So like this is your paper, this is your
Oh.
tax number. So tax number is already on the paper, and that
Mm-hmm.
means you don't have to go to the tax authority separately or like to somebody else separately.
Yeah.
So I think like there are definitely like better systems out there, because I've seen like Germany is
Yeah.
like 1 month, but that's also like slow. I don't think it should take so
Fine.
long.
Yeah. I mean, blue card is something that you would receive in 2 months or maybe 1.5 months.
Hmm.
So that's not a big thing.
Hmm.
But yes, again, blue card is for highly skilled
Yeah.
employees, and you need approvals from your employer for
Hmm.
applying for a blue card. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it would take anywhere around one and a half month to 2 months
Hmm.
for sure, if you are lucky enough, if the stars are on your side. So
Yeah.
it you could get it even earlier, but then nothing before 1.5 months. That's the minimum least time that you would.
Hmm.
Obviously that week's time is nowhere. It's not here at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. I mean, like the thing is, like Germany is also like pretty bureaucratic, but like I think because Germany just receives so many immigrants, like they have just come up with like better systems to like manage that better.
Yeah.
So, but like for example, I'll tell you like honestly, I think like Romania one was a big surprise. I was not
Mm-hmm.
expecting for that. So we went to the
Yeah.
appointment and we showed all of the documents, and Alina was also there. Alina forgot some documents,
Mm-hmm.
so we had to like run back home and like get new papers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when we submitted everything, they were like, yeah, you can just pick it up tomorrow. And we were like,
Oh my god, that's
like
actually that's
yeah.
totally insane. I mean,
Yeah, because they don't have to like
we
maybe print out the cards and things like that. They just have to like print out the paper, and they have to
paper.
give you
Yeah.
like done with that.
Yeah.
And what is the story of
That's really
citizenship,
nice.
Sally?
Citizenship, it's either you get married to a Polish guy or a girl. PR.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a newborn here, it's the newborn is going to have the same citizenship as their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's all. I mean, there are no multiple options for that. I don't think so. There are, but
Mm-hmm.
it's either you get married and
Mm-hmm.
get settled here, and if the married couple is, uh, for example, Indian and a Polish, so the baby gets the Polish citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if both are Indian,
Mm-hmm.
then the baby gets the citizenship. It's the same as the parents.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's no rocket science in that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty clear that the newborns are not going to have Polish
Mm-hmm.
citizenship, irrespective of
Right.
yeah.
So I mean, like, because there are also like citizenship by naturalization, like other than birth. So for example, if you talk about
Mhm.
Germany, like in Germany you can get the citizenship in 8 years, But like,
Mm-hmm.
so this 8 years counts everything. This 8 year counts the studies that you have done for 2 years, let's say. This also
Mm-hmm.
counts the 2 years of additional work that you have done to get the permanent residency. So 4 years done there. And then
Yeah.
once you have gotten the permanent residence, you need extra 4 years to like, apply for the citizenship. And like, I think as far
Okay.
as I've like read about Poland, like I think in this scenario, like in Poland, you need like, 10
Yeah.
years and you need to have a
Yeah.
permanent residency there,
Yes,
and you
of
need to
course.
have an
Yeah.
address, of course. So I mean, like, this is also like, pretty interesting. But here I don't see major differences. I think like most of the European countries, they have this
It's
standard 10 to 8 years like of,
yeah.
yeah, time they need. Do you also have some other tips, Siley, that you want to like, share to people who want to like, think about coming to Poland, some kind of
Mm-hmm.
experiences that you've
Yeah,
had
so
on your own?
actually, yeah, for sure, for sure. Talking about students first, which is our main focus, obviously. Students here get a lot of benefits, like they literally have 50% of discounts on food, the food chains that you have, the big ones, okay? They have 50% discounts here on food. Obviously, you need to provide your student ID. They have 50% discount on travel cards. In Poland, if you have to take a transport card of and you are a student, it's going to cost you around 150 for a
Mhm.
quarter.
Mhm.
150 is worth it for 3 months. That's it.
Right.
And
In Germany,
it's
like we have it covered already under the semester contribution. So like when you pay the 300 or
Mhm.
150 euros per semester, like it
Mhm.
comes with the 6 months of like, just public transportation. You don't have to pay anything extra.
Talking about the kids in Warsaw. So if you are living in Warsaw, if your child is 7 years or below, the transportation is free in within that city. Okay, if you want to travel from Warsaw to Krakow, uh, you have free transportation only up to 4 years of the child. Yeah, and moreover, there are schemes for immigrants kids also. So like I have moved to Poland. In case if I have a child here, so the government is going to pay me 500 zloty per month
Mm-hmm.
for that child. Upon birth, also there's a new scheme that is being talked about. It's around 12,000 zloty on birth. Also, I mean, apart from the 12,000 zloty, there are government schemes also. But when you obviously visit the government of hospitals, you will get to know that. I mean, I'm not very much familiar with those schemes, but then there are multiple schemes. So if a woman conceives here, she's eligible for 1,000 zloty before the birth also to take care of the child.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, that was about the birth and the hospital things here. And students, like the school students, not the university ones, the students are also eligible for 300 to 400 zloty per year for their education allowances, you could say,
Mm-hmm.
just to buy your supplies, school supplies. So that is also something that the Polish government has for the people here, irrespective of whichever
Mm-hmm.
nation or citizenship or whatever. If you have a child here, the child is eligible for all of these benefits.
That's very nice. I think like the social contribution system and like, just helping you out when you have children and things like that. This is also like a
Yeah.
standard thing that you will see in many European countries. In Germany too, when you
Mhm.
have children, like of course you also start getting like, monthly support from the state of like around 200 euros. And then like every
Mhm.
extra child you have, like, it increases.
Yeah.
So that's also like, something like pretty standard. But that was like pretty nice, Siley. Like, thank you so much for sharing all of these
Yes.
tips and advices.
Yep.
And
For sure.
everybody who is watching this channel, like if you are interested in studying in Poland, or like knowing about the lifestyle there, take a look at Siley's channel. I'm going to put the link for that in the description below. See you in the next one. Bye.